This very short vodcast contains instructions for you to be able to efficiently conduct your electrolysis lab. If you can find your handout that looks like what you see here on the vodcast, you'll be following the instructions for this step by step, but I wanted you to be clear on some of the pieces of equipment that you'll be using today. So one of the pieces of equipment you'll be using are a set of pencils that look like either short ones if they're all used up or longer ones that have been glued to a battery or taped to a battery in the center. And those pencil tips are going to be acting as inert electrodes for electrolysis. And electrolysis is a process that is similar to a voltaic cell, except it doesn't happen spontaneously. And what we're going to do is we're going to force electrons to move through a circuit wire to do work for us against their will in what would normally not be a spontaneous electrochemical reaction. So very important that these inert graphite electrodes, the pencil lead, which by the way isn't lead but carbon, they can't ever touch each other, or they can't touch other pencil tips when you return them to a supply bin because the batteries are going to burn out if you do. The other thing that you're going to notice is that you're going to have a lead, and the lead looks something like this, and these alligator clips might have some corrosion on them, so make sure that you have sandpapered them down if they've got any rust or anything that might not give you a good contact when you connect them to this part of the battery, and you'll figure out how to do that. So once you have the battery attached to the clips there, and you've got this apparatus, you might, before you start, want to take a look at the pencil tips. They might need to be sharpened or at least maybe sandpapered, because sometimes plating builds up on there from the previous students to have used that. You'll also need a piece of plastic, and this is going to be a microscale lab, so you're just going to have a sheet of plastic about 8.5 by 11, clear plastic, which you'll put against a white background, and you will be making little puddles of various chemical substances on the plastic, and you'll be dipping these electrodes into that plastic. So if a reaction is going to occur, that's the aqueous solution through which electrons might be flowing and causing a variety of things that I'll describe what to look for in just a moment. Let's see, make sure there isn't anything else. Sometimes you might have to stir the solution, so there's little toothpicks that are going to be available for you to do that with. The way you'll know some kind of reaction is taking place is you're going to look for a color change. You might see gentle bubbling at one or both of the electrodes. You might smell an odor, or if you examine the electrode tips very carefully when you're done reacting, you might see substances that are starting to plate out on the electrodes that are made of graphite. So when you get done today, what you will need to do is you're going to need to leave this apparatus as seen, but you're going to make sure that you disconnect these leads and that you return the battery and the pencil apparatus and the leads to the teacher. The plastic sheet that you'll be working on, that'll need to be dried off and cleaned and ready for the next student. And just in general, of course, clean your area. When you are all done, there's a follow-up handout with questions about each activity that's happening at a specific electrode. So do the best you can on answering those questions, because of course we will discuss those when we do our lab follow-up when I return. So there should be a second page to this handout that you see here that asks specific questions about each of the various steps along the way. It's relatively simple, but let's be really nice to those batteries and not let them grind up next to each other inside the bin, because if they do, then they'll short out and then we'll have to go pay another $50 for the brand new batteries like I bought today. Okay, have fun with it. It's kind of a cool little lab. Take care.